Assalamu alaikum students, I am Shakeel Ahmad. In history today, we will discuss the tenure of Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto. On 20th December 1971, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto became president and chief martial law administrator, uh, although he was not a person from military. The army had received the shocking defeat in the war against India, and East Pakistan had separated from rest of the Pakistan to appear as Bangladesh on the world map. So, in the 1970 elections, Awami League, led by Sheikh Mujib, got the majority with the maximum winning seats in National Assembly. But now, after the separation of East Pakistan, Pakistan People's Party, it became the majority party with maximum winning seat in National Assembly. So, after taking office, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto was determined to limit the powers of army so that it would not intervene to thwart his policies. It meant that Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto didn't want that army would interfere to implement his policies to run the government. So, in this regard, he removed the most important army leaders. For example, 29 in his first 4 months of power. So, amongst these were the head of the Air Force, Air Marshal Rahim Khan, uh, and the Commander in Chief of Armed Forces, General Gul Hassan. So, appointing his own leaders like General Tika Khan was placed in charge of army in a new post named Chief of Army Staff. Furthermore, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto set up Federal Security Force, commonly known as FSF, from October 1972. It was a government-controlled military force um, which was set up to assist the police force. The Simla Agreement. It was very important to restore diplomatic relations with India so that Pakistan could bring its war prisoners back to Pakistan. So on 2nd July 1972, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto signed the Simla Agreement with Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So India agreed to return Pakistani prisoners uh, 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 for a promise from Pakistan that Pakistan could not raise the voice of Kashmir or Kashmir issue at any international forum. Instead, it discussed directly to India. So, Pakistan had no other way to accept the term of a Simla Agreement made by Indian government. So, Simla Agreement was signed on 2nd July. Uh, after Simla Agreement, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto had some advantages and positive points, just like um, he was he had reduced his dependence on army by making further fighting with India less likely. There was no further chances of any war with India immediately after the Simla Agreement. Furthermore, improved his government's international reputation by being seen as willing to negotiate to maintain peace. Uh, Thirdly, increased his popularity in Pakistan by bringing uh, home the prisoners of war, what were over 90,000. Now we'll discuss about establishing a new constitution. So in April 1972, martial law was lifted and a new assembly was being called. In this regard, a committee was set up to draw up a new constitution, and the committee reported in April 1973 with its recommendations. On 14th of August, the new constitution was enforced, which was called the Constitution of 1973. Its main provisions were, it was said that there would be two houses of parliament, first one the Senate, and second one National Assembly, what was lower house. The assembly would be elected for a period of 5 years, and the members of the Senate would be nominated in equal numbers from each of the four provinces. Secondly, the leader of the party with a majority in the assembly would become prime minister and would select a cabinet, means the group of ministers. The president became largely a figurehead of the state, so whose orders had to be signed by the prime minister himself. Next one, Pakistan was an Islamic republic, and both the prime minister and president had to be Muslims. Pakistan was a federal state, and each province had its own assembly elected by universal adult suffrage, mid right of casting vote, with the majority party forming the provincial government. The National Assembly could only change the political leadership in provinces by changing the constitution, which required at least a 75% majority in a vote. Finally, all basic fundamental human rights were being granted in the Constitution of 1973. So, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto from Pakistan People's Party became the Prime Minister, and Chaudhry Fazil Ilahi was elected as the President of Pakistan. Now we will discuss the party politics, the early policies taken by Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto uh, in the office. So the 1973 constitution revived the power of National Assembly, and as a result, political parties became more important. The Pakistan People's Party was the biggest party in the National Assembly as well as in Punjab and Sindh provincial assemblies. In Balochistan and NWFP, now it is known as Khyber Pakhtunkhwa KPK, in Balochistan and NWFP provincial assemblies, Pakistan People's Party couldn't win the remarkable seats. So in both the provinces, uh, National Awami Party NAP and Jamiat Ulama Islam JUI were stronger, and they were working together in a coalition. So they held the maximum seats. This gave these two parties enough strength to try to force through changes that would maintain the autonomy of the provincial assemblies. On 27th April 1972, the Pakistan People's Party and NAP and JUI coalition signed an agreement. According to this, it was said that National Assembly could not appoint provincial governors without the agreement of the provincial assembly concerned. So it means that in Balochistan and NWFP, the governors would be according to the wishes of the assemblies of the same provinces. Secondly, in return for their support for People's Party in the National Assembly, meant that the governors of Balochistan and NWFP would be um, according to the wishes of the political leadership of those provinces. So, in return, these two political parties, National Awami Party and Jamiat Ulama Islam, would support Pakistan People's Party in National Assembly, and uh, these two parties could have a free hand in their provinces. However, that agreement came to an end just 1 year later, uh, when the uh, uh, when the central government dismissed the governors of Balochistan and NWFP. The Balochistan government was dismissed and an uprising by Balochi tribes ensued that took among almost 5 years to suppress. So, after committing thousands of troops and installation of large supplies of military equipment over there, and it was loaned by Iran. Pakistan army was able to succeed against those uprisings with the support of Iran. The uprising had destroyed any idea of provincial autonomy. So it had also once again brought the army into politics at the very time when the new constitution was trying to establish parliamentary democracy. So good government meant that several steps had to be taken which limited the benefits of the new constitution in the country. In April 1974, a constitutional amendment allowed the government to limit press freedom and ban any political parties if it felt were the threat to sovereignty and integrity of the country. In 1975, furthermore, laws were being made and passed allowing the security forces to detain suspects indefinitely and took away the right of bail for those held by FSF. So, this organization became increasingly active, breaking up opposition rallies and intimidating political opponents. So, on the orders of Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto, one of the uh, member of Pakistan People's Party, J.A. Rahim, was seriously beaten by a federal security force. So, even any person thought to be a threat to the government might find himself a victim of a federal security force. Uh, uh, Students, in the next lecture, we will discuss Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto's industrial, agricultural, educational, and some other reforms, inshallah.